Hi, I'm Theresa. So I'm head of content and PR for Chic Geek in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. My background is in journalism, as well as content and communication strategy, as well as media relations. I've worked with science centers and post-secondaries, and this is where I became most passionate about supporting women in STEM and technology. And I also ran a boutique style content and PR agency that's focused on tech and startup. So my work with Chic Geek is probably my greatest joy and passion. It's an organization that was founded in Western Canada by Kylie Woods. We're an NFP and we exist to support women in technology and help tech companies foster diversity and inclusion, as well as retain and support women in the sector. Chic Geek is here because we know that there are not enough women in tech and IT, and the women we do have are leaving. We're here to change that. We believe through strong mentorship, peer elevation, and community support, we can start to shift this narrative. So to provide some background for today as we get into the discussion, Chic Geek and Idealogical know through research and statistics that as many as 72% of women in North America say they're outnumbered 2 to 1 or more, and 26% say they're outnumbered 5 to 1 in the tech sector by men. The National Center for Women in Information Technology report that only 20% of computer science students who graduated with a bachelor's degree in 2018 were women. We know also that BIPOC individuals in tech are simply underrepresented. When tech and IT-focused organizations make diversity and inclusion not just a value, but a business strategy, there's positive impact not only to their company culture, but to our bottom line. Diverse teams are not just the right thing to do, they're better for business. So we know it's time to thrive. Today will be an open discussion about women in IT and tech. We have women represented on the panel at all levels of their careers, from CEOs and managers to advisors and technicians. So I'd like to give them a chance to introduce themselves and we'll get started. Joann, would you like to begin?
Sure. My name is Joann Vitale. I'm an account manager here at Grit Technologies. I've been in IT for over 20 years. I started in system support and also worked with crisis management and project management, and now account management. I'm a wife and mother of 2, and just trying to have that work-life balance.
Thank you. Leia?
I'm Leia Shilobod. I'm the CEO of Intech Solutions. We're an MSP that focuses on cybersecurity compliance, and we're located outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I founded Intech Solutions in 2006, and that's when I got started in this industry. I actually have a degree in psychology, but believe it or not, it helps in this industry. I'm a mother of 4. My oldest is 21 and my youngest is 11. And I also serve on the as the chair of the board of trustees of our community college.
Thank you. Ria, over to you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Ria from Idealogical. I've been in the it's okay. I've been in the IT field for about 8 years now, primarily in the service desk side. I've been at Idealogical for 4 years, started as an L1 tech, then move into service coordination. And now I have the exciting opportunity to be the leader of the tech team. It's been an interesting journey. I had my worst and best experience at Idealogical, and there's no place I'd rather be than with the Idealogical family.
Awesome, thank you. Ariel, since you're sitting right beside her, how about we move to you?
Sure. Hello. My name is Ariel Yen. So I originally graduated from university with a humanities degree, but because of the fierce competition for administrative jobs, I was advised to go back to school to study in IT. So my journey in IT has been much shorter than what seems to be everybody else. So the program I went into had optional co-op, and that was really what jump-started my IT career. I've been with Idealogical ever since January 2020 as a co-op student. Then because COVID hit, I was able to do part-time and online school for the summer semester. And then I started full-time ever since graduating in August 2020. So I guess COVID did me a favor in a sense. So yeah,
Awesome.
I'm actually extremely grateful that the managers I've had so far, including Ria, of course, were amazing, and they definitely helped my IT career thrive. And so back to you, Theresa.
Thank you. Raquel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Raquel Eisman. I've been in the IT field for 4 years. I started off at Eastern Michigan University, where I studied information assurance and cyber defense. From there, I went to a help desk position where I realized my passion in IT is cybersecurity, which led me to my current position as a security advisor at Soteria, which is a cybersecurity firm based out of Charleston, South Carolina.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I love that we have women represented from across North America. I often talk to many Canadians in the field, but I don't honestly have the opportunity to speak with Americans as much. So this is fun. All of you are thriving in your careers. And so just to begin, let's explore a little bit about how you got here, as well as discuss any challenges that you may have faced or potentially still face that could be specific to gender, because that is why we're here. But also let's celebrate our success and just speak to who and what made the differences in your career and up until this point. Joann, would you like to start us off?
Sure. So I got started in IT right out of high school. Actually started working as a file clerk at an insurance company. And at the time, the IT department for that location consisted of 2 women. So there was an IT manager and a LAN coordinator. The LAN coordinator was about to go on maternity leave. So they saw that I had an interest in the IT field. So they asked if I wanted to step in and kind of take over for her while she was gone. The woman that left, she actually decided to be a stay-at-home mom. So they offered the position to me. And so I put myself through college, worked as a LAN coordinator in the IT full-time. And so that's how I got started in IT. I did not face any challenges specific to gender. And maybe that's because my manager was a woman. So I feel like some of my experiences might be a little bit different than others. As far as who and what made a difference in my career, for me, it was a manager that I had toward the beginning of my career. Not the woman, she was a great manager, but later on, I had a manager, he was very supportive. He encouraged all of us to step out of our comfort zone, taught us that building relationships with people is actually what makes the difference, not necessarily the technology that we work on. He believed that stepping out of our comfort zone is actually how we grow. He also made sure that we were having fun and smiling because a happy employee is a better employee. And so that experience made a difference in my career. It gave me the validation and motivation that I needed to continue progressing in IT. And at the same organization before that amazing manager came along, we actually had a different direct report. And when I started, I did notice some challenges at the time. And anytime a woman would challenge his decision or make a suggestion, there were some negative conversations that had affected the culture at that time. So I do believe that your experience can change dramatically depending on who you report to.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I think that's wonderful. A lot of our biases are inherent and hidden, and we don't even, it's so hard to explain until you go through it. So yeah, Ria, would you like to add some of your perspective here as well?
For sure, thank you. I had some challenges, that's for sure. From the beginning, even during the interviewing phase, I remember the first interview, it wasn't the first interview, sorry, it was one of the interviews I went to just after school. And one of the challenges that I faced there was the assumption that I'm a woman and I wasn't cut out for the job. And I literally had someone said to me, what does a pretty girl like you want to do lifting a server? It was a confidence killer for me. And, it definitely made me stop in my tracks a little bit there. And, I had to just get the confidence to go back out and just know my worth and get back in there so that I can get into the field, because it stopped me. I went into banking, which was completely different, and it wasn't doing what I went to school for. One of the other challenge was like, being denied the opportunity while I was hired for a technical position and didn't get that opportunity to work in doing the tech life. What really made a difference for me was just approaching my leadership, speaking up for myself, ensuring that my voice was heard. Andre Vittoria, the president of our company, really talking to him and getting the support from him really made a difference in progressing here at Idealogical. The time that I spent at Idealogical was the most progressive for me because of the learning opportunity, the environment that fosters learning as well as supports you and ensure that we are all in alignment. Everybody's treated equally. No matter the issue that you have, we have two core values, which is the juice is worth the squeeze and no jerks allowed. And we literally take those values seriously here. Like, no matter the problem you have, no matter the struggles you have, the leadership team is so supportive. And that really set the tone for me, receiving the encouragement throughout the career growth at Idealogical.
Thank you. That sort of takes us into one of our other questions, which is, where does leadership start and how do we foster diverse teams? And does it start at a grassroots level? Does it need to come from the C-suite? Does it have to come from the leadership level? Or does it come from all of us that are involved? And Leia and Raquel, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. Leia,
Actually, I'd like to speak to, and I'm sorry, I'm so bad. It's Ria or Ria? Ria.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. So I had some similar experiences with coming up against some people who maybe didn't respect me for the knowledge that I knew that I had, or the capabilities I knew that I had. Instead of that taking me down a notch, it just made me really pissed off. And I would recommend to everyone, that's an excellent strategy. Anytime somebody tells you you can't or you shouldn't, just get really pissed off and then show them, that you can. That's actually what propelled me and my knowledge. Every time that somebody, like whether it was a client that wanted to speak to my partner because he was a man, I was like, F that. I recognized that the reason was because he thought that I didn't have the knowledge. So I learned, and then I could speak on that. And then when I got challenged on my knowledge when it comes to cybersecurity compliance, it ticked me off so much that I went out and got a certification to be a certified information security manager. So, use all of those things to just propel you forward, because you're always going to come across some jerk somewhere, and you just as a catalyst.
I love that. I think we think of, as females, we call it anger and like that passion. Men call it ambition. They say that was a challenge. That was a challenge that I rose to. So I love that. Leia, thank you. What about anybody else want to weigh in on this and talk about their own experience or how to overcome some of this stuff?
A good positive recollection that I had from starting out as a level 1 technician. A female executive had left a card on my desk that said she realized my potential and she saw me in a leadership role. And that really boosted my confidence and helped me reach up. And I think my manager saw that I was really wanting to step up and learn leadership roles, and he helped me develop that. And so I think taking the time to really stop and build each other up and reach down and pull someone up, even if it's just sending a card or an email, something like that is really positive and helps, people who are just starting out flourish.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's wonderful for our male allies who are watching as well, who are wondering how can they wade in and how can they help and how can they be, how can you be an effective ally? And sometimes it's as simple as starting with those little things. Ariel, you have a unique perspective on this too, because now you're coming to this team and you have Ria who's been through this. How has that impacted you being able to work with her and have her as a team lead?
I think probably because Ria's had that experience, right? She's probably more, how do I say, conscious of some struggles that female employees may have. So I'm really grateful for Ria's leadership, actually, and also my entire tech team in Idealogical. We're all very supportive of each other. I don't feel that I am treated differently or especially because I'm a woman or anything like that. I think that's very important to me, to be, you know, the same as everybody else instead of on a pedestal or discriminated or anything other than the same, you know. That's what I feel. And being able to interact with each other with confidence is also very important. And that's part and parcel of that, you know, being treated the same. So you don't feel like you have superiority or inferiority towards others on the same team.
Awesome. Thank you. That leads into another question. We know that we have all sorts of positions and options and perspectives in IT, and we also know that part of doing diversity work is celebrating our differences and embracing those. And the question that comes up, not just in IT or tech, but in all fields, is, are men and women inherently different in ways? Do we see from different perspectives? Do we have different strengths? There's varying views on this topic. Some people will say, yeah, we do. And we have to recognize this in order to succeed. Others lean towards, there's no difference. It's our perception of our abilities. I think this is a meaty topic. Leia, I would love for you to start us off, because I know this is something you're passionate about.
Yeah. So it is, because so I have a degree in psychology, like I mentioned. So I did study the human brain and human psychological development. And we are different. Men and women are different, but that's good. It's not a bad thing. It is an awesome thing, especially if you recognize the things that men as a group and a whole tend to be better at, and then women as a group and a whole tend to be better at. And again, when I'm using terms as a whole and tend to, which doesn't mean that across the board it's always like that. It's just that being good at different kinds of things could make you well suited for different kinds of roles. I actually got in trouble one time because I tried to say during an interview, I tried to explain how men and women's brains are actually wired differently. And if you are a woman who has had a baby or has been pregnant, your brain actually gets rewired to be able to multitask better. Actually, there's really no such thing as multitasking. It's actually task switching. And from an evolutionary perspective, that happens because we in the old, 10,000 years ago, we had to be able to gather food, plus make sure that, the saber-toothed tiger didn't eat our young at the same time. So that's it's kind of a little superpower, but any kind of role that you need to task switch, like the brain is built better if you are a woman that has been pregnant. I mean, that's just how it is. Doesn't mean that men can't. It just means that you might be better suited for that kind of thing. So if you think about it from that perspective, and you think about IT as being so it's not just people sitting in front of a computer banging out code. We need project managers, we need account managers, we need, technical sales people, we need, the help desk, we need engineers, we need so many different kinds of cybersecurity. It's a whole universe of opportunities. And we do need people from all perspectives, from all abilities in order to take on those roles. And some of them I think are better suited for, obviously each one is not going to be the same requirement. So you want to match up something with what you're really good at.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I wonder, we've done some research through Chic Geek, and do women ever, and I don't know the answer to this, is it possible that we get pushed or pigeonholed in tech into some of those areas that we are actually biologically better at, but then also when you add in that stereotype of women are nurturers, they're great team builders, do we ever get pushed into sort of those team building areas instead of being the architects or the leads? And I don't know, is that a good or a bad thing? Does anybody else want to capture some of that in terms of their own experience? And maybe not. I love that you actually are backed with the science on it, Leia, and it's an important thing for us to recognize. It's not necessarily bad that we are different. And being equal to doesn't mean that you can't be different. We're still equal to. Yeah, so I'm going to take it to something a little bit more technical in terms of actually building teams and fostering business strategy. Should IT companies consider adding tools and training programs that could potentially help further women and other people in their organization's careers? You know, especially companies that are now looking to take a chance on employees with little to potentially no experience. Ariel, you shared some of your journey with us and how Idealogical has fostered your experience. We have a really cool company here in Vancouver. They're called JNAP. It's an online platform for health and wellness practitioners to, you know, book and chart and schedule and bill. They're female founded, and they are embarking on a program to train junior employees who potentially have no tech background or skills. And it's, you know, that's a risk. That's a risk for business owners. That's a risk for CEOs. Is it an important process of what we should be doing in an IT and tech as we are perhaps shifting our view of how to hire and how to look at people's resumes? Where do strengths come from, and how do you foster that in leadership? Honestly, anybody who would like to speak to that or has any experience in that.
I've heard of, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
I've heard of some companies out there that create training programs for college students to teach them IT skills for free, and then they're actually able to meet their quota of having 50% men and 50% women in the technical roles, because they ended up hiring some of these students that graduated. So that's a great, yeah, it's a great option.
What do you think about the idea of quotas, Joann, and everyone? Is that something that we need to do in certain areas of IT? Is it beneficial to businesses to think in those terms?
I don't think that just checking the box is the solution to help create that sustainability. Because if it's not the right fit, it's not the right person for the role, we're not accomplishing anything. We need to create that welcoming culture for everyone and have programs for everyone. I just think if you're looking for, you know, to include more women in your organization, maybe come up with some programs or better advertising and looking for groups that are more diverse to hire. Yeah.
So DEI and that entire process needs to start a little bit sooner than going towards a quota. And then just, yeah. Leia, were you going to weigh in as well? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I totally agree with Joann about you know, just having a quota and checking a box is not going to solve a problem. You know, it does, like you mentioned before, it starts with leadership. And you know, really having organizations that attract the best talent, regardless of whether they're a man or a woman, and having more companies like that. And those companies, especially in this tight job market, they're the ones that are going to win. So that you don't, like, you know, having a closed culture just makes it harder for you to be able to compete. And as far as like you know, training programs, you know, continuous improvement is part of our values. So for everyone here, we really push everyone to continue to learn and develop their skills. We have like group book studies that we do on a regular basis, encouraging people to get certifications and really push their skill set, regardless of, you know, whether they're male or female. And then as a culture in our organization, we're very focused on the whole person. And I think that companies do need to consider that more often. That I tell everybody, you know, it's not like when you walk into InTech Solutions to work, you're like, oh, hi, I'm work Leia, and I just left personal Leia outside. Like, you're a whole person, and that follows you everywhere. And we're really sensitive to that here. So, you know, we really flex for people's lives, which is really important to women because, even though we'd like to think that it's not this way, women really are the primary caretakers of children, the primary coordinators of schedules, and it helps to be able to have that kind of environment, be supportive from a women perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that you are all, you've all touched on is perhaps it does need to start with leadership. It's there are people that that I've spoken to that when these things are started from a grassroots level only, what often happens is those that are maybe a minority in the organization feel like it's all on their shoulders to spearhead it. They become the poster child for the organization because they're female or because they're not white and what have you. And so I think that's a really important perspective. And Ariel, you touched on it too as well when you said I'm here and I work hard and I don't want to be singled out for any reason other than when I do a heck of a good job. Yeah.
I don't ever want someone to say, you're really smart for a girl. Like,
yeah. or to consistently put you up in media because you're the girl.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it happens all the time. And it happens because we have, it comes from good intentions, and absolutely, but it's a slippery slope. And Leia, you touched on something that we were going to discuss a little later, but I think we'll roll into it right now, in that women, traditionally, we do share a lot of the household role. We tend to do a lot when it comes to our careers and to our families and our personal lives. And we're coming out, hopefully, of this, horrible pandemic. It's changed the way we have operated as business people. It's changed the way we've operated as mothers. It's changed the way we've operated as human beings. I think when COVID first began and this work at home culture started to seep into our organizations, it was kind of like, oh, this is amazing. Like, finally, I can work from home. I don't have to get on into my car. I don't have to get on the C train or the subway. I have more time with my kids. And then after a few months, it became apparent that there's actually quite a few challenges here. And so I think that let's discuss how the pandemic and how work from home culture has impacted us as females in tech. There's pluses, there's negatives. What do you guys think? And Joann, I know you have some perspective on this.
I definitely do. Well, studies have shown that if a woman and a man work from home and have a child, the woman does twice the amount of housework than the man does. And the woman does 3 times the amount of childcare. I'm not saying this is every situation, but just statistically speaking, that's how it usually goes. And I know in my situation, that's how it goes. So whether that be, the bedtime routines, the doctor appointments, making meals, I think it's important to start dividing up these responsibilities between the parents. And I can't even imagine how much more difficult it is for a single parent trying to balance all of this and have their own career at the same time. But I think working from home offers a great solution, because now we're not, wasting time driving in traffic, rushing home, make dinner, pick up, your kid from daycare. We're not having to leave work early because, daycare closes at 6 o'clock, and because of the traffic, we won't be there on time. So we have to end up leaving work early. So while working from home has many benefits, it also has a lot of challenges. And I've discovered those as well. So now we're, there's mothers and fathers working in the same household with their kids, doing school virtually, or they're home because they're quarantining because they had close contact with someone. So this presents some distractions and some frustrations. So for example, you're on a conference call with your camera on, your child's wandering into your room, making noise, interrupting your call. They're hungry, they want you to make a snack. So like I have been through this. So it is a challenge. And, so now we have the flexibility because we can work from home, but we don't just have our job to focus on. It's not like going into the office and that's all you're focused on all day. We have children, we have a spouse, possibly, we have pets that are making noise and distracting. So trying to find that balance is difficult, but for me, the kids going back to school has been a huge relief because I found that most of the added stress was the pressure of being present for them while they're home and not ignoring them all day and trying to succeed at my job at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's my experience.
That's your experience. I wonder too, in terms of, are we moving towards a culture where we are contracting more? For someone like myself that is contract, I take contract-based work. It's been great because the options have opened up to me so much more in terms of across Canada, internationally. People are willing to look at me more, even though I'm not in their city. On the flip side of that, those of you that own businesses, and I also hire contractors and from all over the place. And what's the flip side to that? Because I feel like we shifted into a lot of contract work, but many of us, including myself, because this all happened so fast, didn't take into account, okay, well, I've got to think about my healthcare. I have to think about everything I need to buy and all the technology and hardware to do my job. I'm charging an hourly rate or a package rate that was based on me potentially being an employee or working in office sometimes. And then also, what are the challenges for business owners? And I mean, anybody can talk about that or weigh in if you like, or just talk about your experience in terms of how this pandemic has impacted you as a business person and IT professional.
Well, Theresa, I would say that, there certainly were a lot of new entrepreneurs that were created during COVID and because of COVID, because people decided that they wanted to make a change. And when you start a business for the first time, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. You just are, because, you can read lots of books, but you're still like, you're still going to screw stuff up and get your pricing wrong or, not have a process yet. And you're going to figure it out when you go along. I always recommend to everybody to find, no matter where you are, no matter what your space is, find a group of people who are super supportive and who are way smarter than you. And always get in the room with the people who are way smarter than you and learn from them. I literally always feel like I'm inadequate because I surround myself with people who are so freaking smart. That's okay though, because it like pushes me forward. To speak to like the COVID and how we handled the quarantine. I have 4 children, and as I mentioned, and I am a single parent. So I run this company and I take care of all the kids by myself. I also have 2 dogs because I'm crazy. But so I'm very sensitive to what it's like to be a mother, regardless of whether you have a partner or not. When we had the quarantines and everything was shut down, I told everybody that you work from where you are most comfortable. For critical infrastructure, we had to keep working. So you work from where you're most comfortable. And for those of us that had children, we ended up bringing them to the office, and because they were not even getting schooling for like ever. So we set up what we called Intech's pandemic school. We had like the water cycle going on the whiteboard. We made it work because it's about people. We are a business, but we're whole people. And I think that's what conscious businesses do, is they think about what can we do to support our people. I'm recognizing it's, we weren't going to have the pandemic school forever. And we still, adopt that now. You work from wherever you're most comfortable or where you need to work from in order to support your family and also get your job done. And, I think that's the best approach to take.
Thank you. Yeah. And thank you for the also speaking about creating your own businesses and the challenges that we all face when we do that. It's something we forget. And the older I get, the more I think I need to have it perfect. Every endeavor I go into, every new contract, every new business, every new job, I think, I've been doing this for however many years. This has got to be perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. And the only way to grow and do a good job is to fail up, to fail and learn from it. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about why you love your careers. We have some young people listening right now who are thinking about going into IT. What gets you most jazzed about this field? I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes IT has a bit of a stereotype behind it. But the fact of the matter is there's so many exciting ways you can dive into this sector and this career. And Raquel, I know this is something that you're really excited about talking about. And I also just, I want to hear more about your role in security, because I can give you, I have like a vision of you as a spy. I think that's what you do. So tell me what you actually do, and why you're jazzed about your career.
Yeah, what I love about my career is that cybersecurity is really the backbone of IT. It touches so many aspects of technology, whether it's networking, physical, engineering. All of these sectors have security tied in. And so because all of these avenues are always evolving, it's very fast paced, and I love that. You're constantly challenging yourself and your team to stay ahead of potential threats. And when you're able to help an organization protect their environment or assist them in mitigation after an incident, it's immensely rewarding. For those of you who are just starting out, I would encourage you to find an area of IT that you're passionate about and look at the security aspect of it, because no environment is ever going to be 100% secure. There's always going to be risk, and due to that, the demand for security professionals right now is growing. And it's a great path for beginners to find opportunities in.
Thank you. Yeah. Why'd you go into it, Raquel? What was it? They drew you? Did you know from when you were 5 years old, or?
I've always loved computers. Anytime that was offered as an extracurricular, I like to take that. But I do love sort of the spy aspect, I guess you could say, of trying to penetration test your own things just to see if you're secure, because there's always that little bit of paranoia that you have, right? Is anyone seeing my data? Things like that. And you get to really grow your skills internally and find things that that motivate you. So for me, trying to see what people have access to in my world, and then sort of share that out with other people so they can help protect themselves.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What else, guys? What amped you up most about getting into IT? What do you want the next generation of IT professionals to know as they start to look through their post-secondary calendars and think about what courses and what majors they want to take? And also, I love that many people in this room did not go into IT right away. They did not go into computer science right away. Some of you, many have liberal arts backgrounds, and I think that's common. And I think of myself as a woman in tech, but I'm on the support side. I'm on communications and PR and writing and journalism. And so there are so many places that this career can go. But yeah, what areas of IT are we not thinking about that people should take into consideration? And what are you guys most passionate about? Anyone?
There is a vast majority of different fields and directions you can go into. I would say try taking a few different classes in different things. So like when I first started college, we had like a networking type of class. I had a programming class. There was a database class. So I knew right away I was not going to be a programmer. That's not my thing. So I knew to kind of steer clear and kind of go in the other direction of more like a network type support role. And I'm glad I went that role, because I had a great time doing, touching, feeling, really diving in, and just that was where my passion was. So there's a lot of different directions, and now you can go to project management, account management. There's so many different options. So just keep your eyes open and try to like research each area, and see what sticks to you.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, no, go ahead. So from a non-IT perspective, I'm the marketing coordinator here at Idealogical, and before I even started at Idealogical Systems Inc, I'll be honest, I never even thought of looking into IT. I found it, as Theresa said, like the of the world, and I came in and it opened up a whole new world to me. I found myself looking up doing courses in cybersecurity or doing your Network Plus, and it's just a vast world of knowledge where you must know and you want to know, and you find yourself doing the quirky tips, for example, now I change all my passwords. I double check everything. And like when I think back, I'm like, I use the same password since this generation. And then I'm like, it's amazing. And honestly, like it's a world where I'd like advise every young girl or every student to look into, because just there's unlimited possibilities you can go into. So yeah, sorry, Leia, I'll let you take it away.
Oh, I was just going to say that, this field I think is very interesting because you really learn the most when you put your hands on the stuff, and do the experiential learning. Obviously, having like some good solid foundation of the like the theory and understanding, like that's really important. But if this would interest you, I mean, like buy some used network equipment online, or there's all kinds of free groups you can get into if you're interested in programming, to check that out, or buy a used server, or a lot of places have options to get all of that licensing for free if you're a student. So you play with it, set up virtual environments, see what, like if you're really interested, to try it. And then I highly recommend doing some kind of an internship. Don't even worry about, doing something for credit. Just get in the field and see what it's like to really work there at a place that you think that you'd be interested in. Most places have paid internships, so that, at least you're getting compensated for your learning, which is awesome. We offer paid internships here, and we actually take between 2 and 3 students from our community college each semester rather, so that they can get a hands-on experience.
Yeah. And it sounds like, you don't have to think about IT and technology as a linear thing. We often go into our lives when in our late teens and early 20s thinking, okay, I have to do an undergrad and then perhaps a master's, or I'm going to go into trades, and it sounds like this is an education that continues almost like a spider web in terms of your interest, passion, and talent. And hiring managers know that. They're not necessarily looking for one stream of education. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in today's environment, Theresa, and I tell my kids this too, you're probably going to change careers 3 times in your lifetime, because first of all, we're all working longer and the world is changing so fast. So don't think that whatever you choose, you're married to forever. Choose something right now that you're going to be able to get a good position in, that you find really engaging. And then, if it changes with you, that's cool. We're going to keep learning. And then you can just switch.
Yeah, awesome. Ariel, you touched on this earlier too. I'm going to throw it to you. What do you want to do next? When you think of that, tell us.
I totally agree with what Leia was saying. Once you start, it doesn't mean you're married to it forever. Like I did the humanities undergrad in university, and it didn't really work out because I didn't want to go into masters to actually make it useful, make whatever I majored in useful, right? So I escaped that basically and then jumped into IT. And it's true, like even in college, if you take a few courses, like Joann said, and then you decide that there's one course interests you more than the other, then it's time to switch the program, right? Programs can be switched as pretty easily as long as you talk to your, student advisor or counselor, right? Those are definitely options that are very open to you. So yeah,
it's such a creative industry and sector, and we forget that. Those of us that aren't in it really do forget that. And it's all about solving people problems as well as technical problems. And that's what
that's a big aspect that I'm interested in as well, like problem solving especially. And I'm a person who really likes to explain things to other people, so this IT and being a help desk technician really basically make what I enjoy, like explaining things to people. Make it a good skill to have. So it's really also just finding your interest and finding what you're good at, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
And
we have some time left. I know that, go ahead, Ria.
I just wanted to add one little comment to that. Like Leia and Joanne said, Joan, sorry, said, for me, it was coming from a customer service background and just, choosing something that I love to do and helping people, right? So even if you love helping people, there are so many different directions you can go into and, help them with the people problems because it's very rewarding. It brings you great joy just helping others.
Thank you. Joan, I think I was pronouncing your name Joanne through the entire session.
It's Joanne. It is Joanne.
It is Joanne. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, good. We have some time left for audience questions, and Catherine, I know we do want to move towards that as well. Opening it up to the panel to ask each other questions and to keep if there's things we're missing and that we need to explore, please jump in. As well as the audience, please fire off some questions to us. I see one from Matt. Okay. Many companies are looking for people. Many IT companies are doing on-the-job training. Yes, no need for a degree. I agree. Yes, that's so cool.
You may not see that in larger organizations, like some corporations and large enterprises may not see that, but smaller companies that are agile, absolutely. I'm not, and I apologize, I don't know enough about the higher education system in Canada, but in the US, our community colleges are 2-year institutions and they're focused on ready to work. So that's the whole thing is like trying to give you skills to be able to graduate. So if you really want to go to and get some kind of a degree, it's a really great opportunity instead of having to go to a 4-year institution and have a lot of debt.
Yeah, we have some really good technical colleges here. We have some wonderful programs in universities and we have a really cool, I will just speak for what I can see happening in Western Canada, our startup culture here in technology. These founders are hiring differently. They're looking at different skills. They're looking at passion. They're looking at drive. They're looking at people that want to be part of something amazing. It's they're looking more holistically at our skills and what people bring to the table. So Stephen is asking, why do you think less women are pursuing a career in IT? And in what ways can the industry get changed to give women more opportunities to be interested in IT? Like, what can we do? Yeah, what can we do as a whole, not just as leaders in our own organizations? And what's the big solution? Let's solve it in the next 5 minutes.
This Women in IT webinar triggered for us in our company. How can we do better in educating women and supporting them? And whilst we have inclusiveness and we do everything great here right now, what can we do better? And I just had a conversation with my leaders, and it was really nice to see that they're on board to potentially starting a internship program where we can encourage women in IT, their growth and helping them along, whether they stay with us or they continue along their journey. I think it would be great if businesses do that as well more and, make it known that they are offering the support to women who need it. I think that would really help.
Yeah, even just the acknowledgement that we need to foster this. One thing we do, that's our role at Sheet Geek, Stephen, and we partner with tons of Canadian and American tech companies who want to foster this in their local and broader sectors. And one of my roles is actually building out a diversity and inclusion hub of information. So they're case studies about tech and scale ups and what they're doing to foster these workplaces. And we're hoping to build out a roadmap that will basically help companies and startups create some strategy around this within their own organizations. So it's really, I think, and anyone can weigh in and you tell me if I'm wrong, but it's leadership saying, we know we need to do this. We know we need to bring more diverse voices to the table. And instead of waiting for government or somebody else to build us a roadmap. We're just going to dig in and do it, knowing that we're probably going to make some failures along the way and have some tough learnings, but it's got to be done. No, does anybody else want to weigh in on that?
So why are a lot of women not pursuing a career in IT? I think that part of it is like, you know, if you're a young person and you are like, what is your experience with IT? It's going to probably be like movies or what's on social media. And you're seeing lots of men being represented there, and, you know, like a pimply guy who's like drinking a soda or maybe a Monster in like a hoodie and just like banging on the keyboard. And they're like, that's not me. I don't identify with that. And I think that's part of it, right? So seeing like being able, I love the fact that there's students here today. So being able to have some kind of connection at the high school level, and then even at like a university level or technical school level, to be able to see these faces and say, like, you're just like me. If you wanted to do this, you could too. And opening up their mind to that kind of possibility and recognizing what it's actually like to be in IT instead of what they think it's like. I think that's really helpful. You know, and I do agree. Susan just posted about having more flexible options, I think is really important. That when I founded this company, I had 3 very young children. And then in 2011, I had another baby. I only took off for 3 days. And then I strapped that girl to my chest and I went back out there to sell stuff. I recognized that most people don't have that kind of opportunity if they want it. Like, I want it. This is what I want to do. I want to work all the time because I'm crazy. But if other people want to do that, I want to be able to have that kind of flexible environment for other women to be able to experience that as well, and not feel like, you know, like they're boxed in or I have too many rules and just can't be flexible. And so I agree with Susan that flexibility is huge to bringing that into your work environment to support women.
Yeah, thank you. I'm wondering too, for the students who are listening, are there any areas of IT right now in North America and beyond that we see about to really start growing? Are there some areas of need that potentially people should look to if they're eager to get their career started and want to start training?
I think sort of adding to what Leah was saying, and trying to get more women into the industry. When I was at university, they had a women in IT club, which a lot of universities have. And maybe organizations, if they have internships, sort of reach out to those clubs or those communities to see if they can offer them to women, as opposed to just going to a job fair, and specifically reaching out to them to let them know, you know, we would be, you know, so honored to have you, or really welcoming to have you in our organization just for an internship, or let you even shadow someone for a day to see if you would be interested, things like that, and really reaching out specifically to those communities.
I think that leads into as well, Matt, your next question, which is, this is a great question for those that are looking to hire. You know, is there anything companies can do to make available more, to make positions more attractive? You know, what can we do to recruit more females and diverse voices to the table? And is it the training programs? Is it the way we are posting jobs and the language we are using to attract people? Yeah,
I definitely think it's the language in the postings that would make it. I feel like a lot of the language in job postings are kind of geared towards men. It just doesn't sound very attractive for a woman to, you know, to try and apply for a position that's, you know, for example, maybe it says like hacker or like coding expert, or I think just trying to be careful with the verbiage on those, and just try to make it more diverse can help.
Yeah, absolutely. We're coming up on the hour. Catherine, oh, I see another question. Oh, Catherine, what do you think? What is there anything else we need to speak to wrap up? And as well to our panelists, is there anything else that you guys would like to touch on before we wrap up our day?
I think Susan has a nice quote there. She quoted, "Able to lift 60 pounds is something you see a lot in IT job postings."
What?
Okay.
Because of the
Yeah.
Wait, is it because of the
Just for
hardware?
the record,
Yeah.
I can lift 60 pounds. I can sling servers all day long with the best, y'all. No, but like really, I agree with that, Susan. I don't know why we have able to lift 60 pounds in those job ads anyway.
Wow. Wow. I'm going to try to lift 60 pounds later, but thank you, Susan.
No, I think that's everything. I think everybody answered everything perfectly and openly and very positive. I think it's inspired a lot of students, which is great to see.
I really enjoyed the discussion
and
with everyone, so thank you.
If it's okay with you guys, I do have someone who might want to jump in and ask a question, if that's okay. Yeah, okay. See if she, Mary, I think you're able, if you want to ask a question.
Well, actually, I just wanted to contribute a little bit because I worked in hiring in IT for quite a while. So the students that are doing it, I encourage you to continue, because one of the things that I would look for when I was hiring was if there was a female, I would kind of cater to it more, because we want to see the diversity. And it gets really, it's a little sad to not see so many women in the industry. And it would really be great to see these future students continue their dream and keep moving forward with it, and maybe even actively create some clubs or groups that could stay with the colleges or wherever your education system is that promotes women in IT. It was really hard to get women. I think I got one that had stayed with the company in the last 4 or 5 years that I was hiring. And many of them would kind of fade out, or it just 1 or 2, and out of 40 men that would get hired. So we can do this. I mean, women, we got this. We got to just keep going with it and own it. And it would be awesome to see it in the future. And I also want to say for the students, I don't know why this is. Colleges do not push LinkedIn. You guys need to be on LinkedIn networking. That's huge. And I always push people, because you will find other women like Leia, like Raquel, like Joann, like Theresa, like even Catherine over there, everybody, Ria, all of us are on LinkedIn. You can connect and send a little message, say, hey, I'm a student in IT, just wanted to connect. But that's what it's for. That it's so that you can progress and learn and have those connections. We're all rooting for each other. We have to. Yeah. And otherwise it's just going to keep doing what it's doing, and it's going to be a very male-dominated industry, and I'm over it. So
yeah, that's a wonderful point. At Chic Geek, we have career pathing and mentoring available to people. This is something that we are building out this year. I hope you guys will check it out. But as well, that's such a good point about LinkedIn. I had a woman come to me, very accomplished in the sciences and geology, and she wanted to get into marketing and communications, but she knew she wanted to do it within the tech sector and within her field. And so we worked together, and I kind of helped teach her about my side of the business, and she mentored me as well on her side. And I'm happy to report she is working in marketing and communications within the engineering field now, and she's loving it, and she's within tech. But she used LinkedIn. She came to me through LinkedIn. So absolutely. Such great insight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mei-Ling, for the question. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Love you guys.
All right. I think we're just about to wrap up.
We're at the hour. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you so much.
It was awesome. Thank you for having us.
It was great to see you all. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Bye.
Bye.